All right, welcome back to our Gen Con extravaganza, super fun time party. Yeah, I have the one, the only, the man, myth, and the legend, George Masu, with us this time. Say hello to the nice people.
Ed, what's up, everyone out there? How you doing?
All right, I got George over the phone. I had everybody else over Skype. So it's just a different form of Megatron that you will be hearing today.
Cool.
All right. With that being said, let's go into it. This year, you did Modern Age and Golden Age World Championships. What motivated you to do both?
Oh, it just clicks itself. Like everyone else, I just love playing the game, and I like to play competitively. So why not just jump into both? Let's just do it.
Okay. Uh, in Modern Age, we saw a interesting Ghost Rider meta, but you didn't go with the Ghost Rider meta, and that sort of was surprising to people. You pulled out something quite different, so much so that you got a little bit more comments and commentary than some of the Modern Age World Championship round teams. So could you go into your debacle, not debacle, your diabolical use of
I
Lex
like that
Luthor?
word.
Yeah.
Diabolical. it's fitting. Yeah, and I've never wanted to play mainstream meta. It's not really for me. So this year was the first time I went outside my group, because real life is sort of getting in the way of everything right now. So I was working with Rob this year for both the nationals and then worlds. We trained together this year, and so basically we're looking for ways to break the mainstream meta, just kind of like we always do, and come up with something very clever and very dominating, and something that no one really sees. So at nationals it was the animal team, and then in worlds this year, modern, it was Lex Luthor, another society member. Last year I played BA. This year I play Lex Luthor.
Okay. So what was your reasoning behind your full team composition with your Lex Luthor? And I think you had the GCPD motorcycles, Flock of Bats, the one with plasticity, Batmite, and am I missing something?
No, I think you got it. It was two motorcycles, Lex Luthor, Batmite, two Pogs, a Luthor Core lawyer, and a Luthor or Lex Core arms smuggler, the trucker from Fear
itself. you just renamed them to fit your.
Yeah, they totally fit my agenda. Yeah, they fit my
agenda. Okay, so. If you could explain to the people how does your team work?
Okay, Lex Luthor. Well, first and foremost, I always pick teams around a character that I like. Everyone knows I'm a big villain fan, and I always try to play something that's going to be entertaining and fun to me. And then I try to really just break that figure. Like what can I do to really make him great? So Lex Luthor, first off, we needed something to stop Ghost Rider Heroes for Hire. Man, the guy can, chain whip you. He can move across the map in one turn. He can get essentially like 3 attacks off if you let him. It's crazy. Okay, so we needed a bunch of meat shields. I got Flock of Bats Plasticity, which can shut down the transporter movement attack if they move into adjacency if they're wearing the suit of sorrows, which most people at Nationals did, and I figured the trend would continue. You got the Pogs just to, again, act as meat shields. He has to shoot a Pog before he can get to a bike, before he can get to Lex Luthor, before he can get to this. You know what I'm saying? So you're creating layers upon layers of defense. A thief can pick, any lock or break into whatever he wants to. It's just how much time, can you, or how many barriers can you put up in front of him before he eventually gets to you or you get to him. So if you create enough barriers, you should be able to get to him first. And by barriers, I mean, the Pogs, the barriers itself, the bicycles, anything to prevent him to getting to Lex Luthor. And how we came up with the team was right after Nationals, all the animals got retired, so we kind of had to start over again. And we had the new ATAs, and we really weren't looking at them, but we were kind of fiddling around and had all my pieces out, and I'm like, God, what the hell am I going to play? I hate mainstream meta, too. It was JLA Team Base and Ghost Rider and Heroes for Hire. And so I was like, oh my gosh, Batmite was just released at Origins. I was like, I got it. So I had like this first inception of Lex Luthor. And it wasn't, the world's Lex Luthor team was just the very first Lex Luthor team, which I'm probably not going to tell you here. And at the time, Rob wanted to work on something with Magog. How could he work with Magog? But the point value of Magog was a little higher than Lex, and he was having trouble fitting into everything. Well, I can't get across the map like you can with Batmite and Lex Luthor. So I can attack twice now with Lex Luthor in one round. Once by himself with a power action, and then once with Batmite. And he wanted to try Magog so bad because of the excessive force trait.
Yeah.
But he's got to get downfield, and he's got to kill something in order to activate the trait. Okay, so we're brainstorming here. Okay, so I said, well, use the GCPD motorcycles. They're really cheap. They have barrier. You can move, Magog downfield with the GCPD motorcycles. And so we're kind of thinking about a week later. He's like, hey, what about this ATA, the GCPD? And I'm like, well, what the heck does it say? What does it do? I haven't really looked at them yet. And it says if there's no action tokens at the beginning of the turn, yada, 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 you can take a move action with a speed value of 4 as a free action. And I'm like, hell no. Then everything, like, all of a sudden, like, came to me. I was like, man, we got to drop Magog and start working on Lex. I was like, if you trigger a free move action, that's going to activate or trigger Boom Tube Sneak Attack with Lex. That means he can attack every turn for free if he wants to. And we're like, yeah, okay, we're done. It's like basically the way Rob described it was, my chocolate got stuck in his peanut butter, and then you got, Reese's Pieces or Reese's Peanut Butter Cup. It just worked so well together. So, and then after we got the GCP motorcycles and the ATA and Lex Luthor, then we started to, go over rules again and wording and make sure that everything was in line. Is this for movement like a lock kind of thing, or does it still apply, or is it just you have a speed value of 4, and then you can modify it so you have to have it because of Boom Tube and this and that? So essentially, you can use the GCPD ATA to activate Lex Luthor's Boom Tube Sneak Attack. You give him a move action, it's a free action at the beginning of the turn, and then he essentially doesn't take tokens at all. So you have the GCPD, which gives him an attack. You can be carried by your motorcycles with a GCPD free move action, and then Lex Luthor as a free action can move himself, which is the only time you can really move after being carried, is through a free action.
Mm-hmm.
So no one really understood the team. I think they kind of looked at it like they always do. They're like, well, what the heck does that do? I ended up playing 3 mystical teams, or variant teams. One of them was a Ghost Rider team, was Dance Ghost Rider team, and then I played a couple Blue Beetle teams. And against the Blue Beetle teams, I prepped time once, and they didn't take an action token for the rest of the game. And, it's the same thing. They just didn't see it coming. I would pick Lex up, carry him with the bike, activate my own Boom Tube Sneak Attack, kill a Blue Beetle, or I would shoot the Batarangs out, because those Blue Beetles have protected. So I'd end cap them first, and then I would use Batmite, for prep time them, battle plan them, out with them, then use Batmite, call the idol over, and then I would shoot them for 6. I was always on outwit and +2s, and really never took an action token. And then after I took the actions, the bike would take its own action, pick Lex and Batmite up, and bring them back to my formation where I could protect Lex and Batmite from any kind of repercussion or counterattack.
Mm-hmm.
Was that too much? Was I talking too long?
No, that works. Cool. It's the type of details that people look forward to knowing in the show. So pretty much, what you created is a starting point of offense, and then from that starting point of offense, you sort of filled in everything to make that offensive capabilities better, while at the same time saying, while this fuels my offensive capabilities, these other things need to be patched in to give me defense so that I don't just get wrecked.
Right. So, you have natural barrier with the bikes, and I said, okay, again, you're right, we have all this meat shield to slow down Ghost Rider. So it doesn't matter if they played the TK Batmite Ghost Rider team and you got Chain Whip for 1, and then he shoots something, and comes in and charges something, he's not getting to Lex or Batmite, or a bicycle. He has to get through all the fodder first. And then when he's left out there, he's dead next turn. He can't survive. All you need is a couple good rolls, 5 through 7, which is a pretty average roll. And you may or may not have a problem depending, who he kills, whatever. But the odds are definitely in your favor. I was doing very well. And then the fourth day I played my buddy Kenny from Jersey, and I goofed up. This is where everything kind of went bad. I've become sort of casual in my play, and he moved his team up. We were playing at Batcave. He moved his team up to level 1. I was on level 3. He had been hindering. So on my first turn, I had the blank carry Lex Luthor 4 squares over to the rim of Elevated, looking down to level 1, and I boom tube, and I shot Brother Voodoo for 5 damage. He missed the Super Sense roll. So I had Brother Voodoo knocked out, because I can't mind control my bikes and start moving pieces across the map. And he had white uniformed Iron Fist, which he was for hire. And he came up, he had to meet me up on top level 3, so everyone moved up to elevation 3. And somewhere along that point, I killed his Loki, and then he dropped smoke pellets from the utility belt with his Iron Fist. And he said, remind me again what smoke pellets do. And he told me exactly what it does, but what I heard was characters occupying the square take, 1 penetrating damage. I said, okay, I just got to move out of this hindering, so I made my breakaway rolls, and I moved all my little fodder, like 1 square out of the smoke cloud, tying up his characters, holding him down in position, and giving Lex a chance to clear from his prep time the previous round. And then when his turn came around, he said, okay, everyone takes 1 damage, and I lost 4 characters in 1 round, and Lex Luthor took damage all in the same turn, and I totally shifted the game, and it's my fault, and I totally screwed it up, because I just should have asked for his card and looked at it, and then I could have found out what smoke pellets do. But instead, again, I made a goof up, and it was a costly one. So that ended my Gen Con run.
Instead of the saying familiarity breeds contempt, familiarity breed relaxation, and this. Yeah, I understand. It's one thing when you play with people and you have good times with people. Sometimes it's hard to turn on the go for the throat, with a friend, even if you shared tech with them. So I definitely I feel for you. So it pretty much it sounds like you had a very interesting run, and you placed what, top 8?
This year was 6. Yeah, this year just 6. I really had the team. I was happy with it. It was a character I liked. It was a villain team, and again, in typical villain fashion, they make a stupid error, and then everything comes crumbling down around them. So yeah, I got knocked out at 6.
Yeah. But
it was to Kenny, so it's cool because he's a good guy. And he's actually a really awesome player. In fact, I played him last year. He had the Beta Ray Bill team. Doctor Strange. Yeah, he's really a fantastic player. Dude, I like playing him.
I wanted to interview him so bad, and from last year, because I was pumping that Beta Ray Bill tech hardcore.
Oh man, it was really good.
Yeah, it's still really good. It's really good right now. Definitely with the utility belt that you can give whoever you need stealth. So, but yeah, all right, cool. So we progressed some time forward. Things go a little bit better. You're doing Golden Age. Can you explain to everyone what your Golden Age team was, and also just for everyone to know your initial thoughts when you first pulled the Villains for Hire, when you initially pulled it, because I remember that day.
Oh, okay. So, all right. So the Golden Age team, Rob came up with this team, which is really cool because I like the whole idea of villains and all villains all weekend. So I came up with a great Villains for Hire team. I'm like, screw it, I'm on board with it. Let's do it. If it's got Osiris, Deathstroke, Two Man, I was like, heck yeah, let's do it. So Golden Age, they got some, cheap support pieces like the New Mutants, Plasco's ATA, the New Mutants, which, you give a friendly character, use a friendly character token, you can give all the damage to that character. So we were playing a restaurant with New Mutants, but we were playing and prepping for mostly, like Krakoa builds, because Krakoa and Golden Age maps were supposed to be, legal in the Golden Age event. So we're, gearing up for, okay, people are going to be taking us to Krakoa, or we're going to play it ourselves. No matter what, you got to plan for Krakoa whenever it's out in the tournament, or else that map could just annihilate you. So, we talked about Nightcrawler, Leech, Watu, and I was like, man, all that stuff, cop cars was another one we talked about. We're like, all that stuff is irrelevant if Krakoa's out there, because, 3 Krakoa worlds, Leech is dead, Nightcrawler's pretty much, he's usually after his second click. If you play cop cars and you happen to roll a 4 or 5 or a 6, you're going to get pegged every time, and especially if you roll 5 and they're all going back to their starting zone, because they can't occupy, the blocking terrain. It's illegal. So we said, okay, Villains for Hire will be fun. We can mastermind. We have a lot going for us. The asset dial is good. And that's just what we played, the Villains for Hire. So I got to play in the all-villain weekend, and I'm super happy about that.
Okay, so you have Villains for Hire. Was it Elixir and Tabitha Smith?
Oh, yeah, I apologize. It was Elixir for the medic. We had Boom Boom, which is a New Mutant, and so is Elixir. So those are my 2 New Mutants, and I have the ATA attached to both of them. I have Livewire from Cosmic Justice. He's a 22-point rookie wild card from a DC set, like Lightning Lad,
Mm-hmm.
But basically, it's just a cheap transport, someone to carry Boom Boom around, or Elixir. You can't have all ground-based characters because the Villain for Hire team base can't carry anyone.
Yeah.
So you need someone to, shuttle these people around to keep up with the team base if they do a running shot or something. And then, who was the last character? Hang on a second. Elixir, Boom Boom, Livewire. Oh, and then what we do is, in most given situations, we would activate working together and then do a solo adventure with Osiris. So Osiris would come off. Everybody would copy Livewire, and Osiris and the team base would copy X-Men. Boom Boom would heal him up 1. Livewire would heal him up 1 in that particular round. And then I would call New Mutants, and I would pass my turn over. By turn 2, Boom Boom would push to X-Men support Osiris again, bringing him to his second click from top dial. And then Elixir would support Boom Boom, so you have a 10 attack on a 12 defense. and then when he supports Boom Boom and heals her,
it heals every adjacent.
Everyone around gets 1 click of heal them of 1 click. So now it's Osiris is top dial, and essentially you're playing with a 421-point team in a 300-point game. You can pop more figures, 1 more figure off sooner, but most of the time I didn't. I just, Osiris was just a damage sponge, pretty much. Prob and eat rounds for the team base, to keep the team base going. And then Elixir and Boom Boom, he would just constantly X-Men heal him up, and then support. You see what I'm saying? So you see what's going on here?
Yeah.
Like a mastermind damage to Osiris, he gets an impervious roll, or he just takes it. He's got 7 clicks. Or if it's real heavy damage, he's gonna die. Just kick it over to the Livewire or Boom Boom, and then let them pass on to the next life.
or try to have them run back to Elixir to heal up.
Yeah, something like that. Usually the group was always together. I always had them together. I didn't want to move too far because the team base needs all that support to shove damage off to. So, yeah, Rob made a pretty good team with all the New Mutants. I really liked it. It was good against team bases and Ghost Rider again. The problem, though, is that the map set switched before the tournament, during the qualifiers. So it went from Golden Age maps to just the 10 double-sided Modern Age maps that we were using for Modern Age. So now you have, Watu and Watchers running around. We didn't see Nightcrawlers because probably no one even brought them with them because of the format, what we're all expecting to play.
Mm-hmm.
So we're all expecting to play like Krakoa in this. No one brought their Nightcrawler. There were a few leeches out there, but there was a lot of team without damage reducers that just would have got tore up. There were a few cop car teams. and I'll talk about Jake in just a second, but yeah, we saw some cop cars. We saw like a lot of things that just wouldn't last on Krakoa if the scenario had run its course. Oh, another thing to point out is that when the Villains for Hire has like that trait, the Mark, where they can score double the points if they kill the Mark. So what you were seeing is like first round, this guy playing that guy was just all mixed up. And then what was happening is that all the team bases, all the Villains for Hire team bases that would win would rise to the top because their points were so high. And so what you had was, on like table, or seats, 1 through 8 were all Villains for Hire versus other Villains for Hire. And then floating in the middle tables, who had like the 1-0 or 2-0 records, were all fighting, like each other. It was like more of like a diverse mix of battles. But that was really funny to see.
See, so I got a question for you. I know to an extent, I've had other people comment on the fact that Villains for Hire gets all these points for targeting the Mark and pretty much getting old school vendetta. Do you think that will unfortunately start having a weight on Golden Age in the future, because pretty much Villains for Hire is almost too good to pass up, because you're guaranteed a vendetta in a world where you can't go and put vendetta on a force,
I'm not sure. I mean, like I saw a lot of, in the first qualifying day, there were more than a few Villains for Hire team bases out there. The 4 Points guys came up with a clever modern age Villains for Hire team, and they found a way to mastermind. And they were scoring all these big points, but in the end, I mean, I played just some generic Ghost Rider team to qualify, and I went 4-0 with just a generic Ghost Rider team. So even if you get 4-0, you're still in with, say, 1,200 points. Or you can play Villains for Hire and go, 4-0 and 3-1 and have like 2 million points. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't think it matters. I think still, if you have a solidly structured team, then you can play whatever you want.
Okay. All right. So pretty much, let's go into the final round. You got your awesome Villain for Hire and X-Men team together. And pretty much you go against the triple cop car with Talia and some other figure, which I couldn't quite hear.
I think it was Little Sure Shot.
Okay, and Little Sure
From
Shot.
way back in the day. Yeah, I think he's an LE. I don't know.
Yeah, I think he is an LE. Okay. And I think they form a Gotham City theme team, correct? Am I correct?
Oh, I have no idea. Theme teams there's no tactics in Golden, so it doesn't matter.
Oh, okay. So
if you had a team team or not, it was irrelevant. I don't know.
Okay. So pretty much since also, yeah, wow, there's no tactics, so no resource dial, so that makes things a lot different.
Right, yeah, so team bases could use probs, there's no team team.
Yeah. Okay, so coming back, you get to that final round, when you see triple cop car, what's the first thing going through your head?
Well, the first thing he wants to do is just squish, when we want to play Frogger with me, he just wants to squish me all day. And then he's got GCPD, which I'm familiar with, so I understand how he's going to get across the map. And I think we played Wayne Manor. I think that was the map we played.
Mm-hmm.
It has like 2 indoor rooms on each side. Everything's a mirror. There's like a little fountain in the center.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm familiar with vehicles, but not as familiar as Jake is. Jake is like an expert with vehicles. In fact, I believe the guys out west call it bumper cars. That's like the term they use when they play that team. It's called bumper cars. And so the first thing I did was I set up in the room because I want to essentially try to trap one of those vehicles coming in because they all can't fit in there. And I figure if they can get in, they can't get out because of their shallow movement. Even with the free movement, they still really can't get to me. So I stagger. So instead of keeping all my pieces close to my chest, I stagger them like in like a column kind of formation, an alternating column. And this way the team base is protected. He has to get through boom, boom, live wire. This game I popped up, Deathstroke, he has to hit them before he can get to the team base. But what I found out is that somewhere between the time of Clickathon and Gen Con, they changed somehow like the rules on moving multi-base figures. So what Jake was doing, which I didn't understand because I was just unaware of it, he was starting his movement from his front end. And he was coming in X amount of squares and squishing me. And then when he wanted to put the car in reverse and take off, he could start counting from the back end of his vehicle, which leaves 4 unaccounted squares in between, which is the length of his vehicle. And I said, okay, I don't understand why is this happening? Because I was, from the last time I read the rules, is you pick a square start for move the characters if it's 1 square. Back end's kind of got to follow the front end. You can't really spin your base, or you're moving from that point of square, and your whole vehicle has to kind of occupy where it moved from. But he was, something changed, and he's allowed to start from one end, and then after he decides he wants to change direction, he can start counting from the other end. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Which gives him an extra 4 squares. So essentially you have an 8 printed movement on your dial, but really it's more like 12. Because you can move in 6 from the front end, and then switch up and start counting from the back end the other 2 squares, which is essentially another 6 movement, because you're moving your vehicle all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
So he was able to come in and out of the room like pretty much freely. It was really, oh man, basically I just got worked. There's no real other easy way to put this. I just got worked. So, it was definitely a lesson. Good for him. It was fun getting there again to the finals. But man, he had the team. It was just awesome. And then his cool little Talia trick with the pilot to get her on that Flurry Blades click that everyone loves for Talia for 20 points.
Mm-hmm.
He gave the vehicle the stats of the pilot and then ejected the pilot. And then as a free action, you get to give this pilot a point of damage at the beginning of the turn. So put it right on Flurry Blades, and he was just dealing out tons of damage. But I just tried to stay in it as long as I could. But really, it was, as soon as the ruling was, as soon as I got up to speed on how cars move, I was like, oh man, I'm toast. There's no way I'm ever going to trap this guy in here. I can't stop him from what he's doing. I was like, he's gonna crush me. And that's basically what happened.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
It sounds like it was a tough game. I do notice the one interesting thing in the game is that you did get to a point where you could pick Cinder, and you poisoned the cop cars, which I thought was pretty interesting. Overall, I would ask you this: if you look at the field between modern age meta and the golden age meta, what do you think needs to be addressed, if anything?
Oh gosh, I don't know. Multi-base movement, I would think.
Okay.
Like I said, there's 4 squares that are unaccounted for. I don't really understand why it works like that, but it does. The free actions are becoming kind of like commonplace right now. It's really speeding up the game. A lot of alpha striking. So there's like a lot less, I don't know, what are you looking for? I think there's like a lot less strategy in the game right now. It's all just first strike, power, things like that.
Yeah.
So these matches move pretty quick, and there's like, man, the Heroes for Hire mixed Ghost Rider just so darn powerful. He's so tough, and I think he'll be tough until they're retired. He'll always be strong.
Yeah, I am sort of surprised that Aldrich Killian never made a play in anybody's teams, because he shuts down ATAs, and he's really cheap,
Sure.
And he's a medic, and he does barrier. Like, he does all this awesome stuff, and he's Hydra, but Hydra or AIM or something like that. But
right.
Well,
here's the thing: his field is only 8 squares. Ghost Rider can get you from one end of the map to the other. It's like, quite frankly, I don't think his power is that great, just because of what Ghost Rider can do. If you're trying to shut down one Hero for Hire token that someone has on their Ghost Rider, I don't think Aldrich is going to help you any, because you can't get to the other end of the field quick enough to get him within 8. And then even if you are within 8, he has his own action. So I'll take my own action. I'm going to kill that Aldrich, because I still have, 11 to a 15 defense on Aldrich through a transporter movement attack. Plus I have Mystics, which a lot of them have Prob or Perplexed. I don't think I'm going to miss. And after I kill Aldrich, now I get my Heroes Hire token back, and I don't know. Yeah, I like the idea of Aldrich killing. I just don't think it's that great. Not yet, because Ghost Rider's too powerful, and he totally has the standoff distance. He has way more squares than Aldrich does.
Okay.
If that makes any sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, pretty much, I will say this. Overall, I am sort of taken back by some of the creativity and some of the inventive nature that I saw at Gen Con this year. The one thing, and I'm trying to differentiate from the rest of my podcast is with the other interviews, is that I wonder what next year is going to be like. Not just saying, Spiral, but what are we going to see that's going to move us toward, are we going to see balance in the Force, or are we going to have hyper-aggression be the meta for 2 years? So I'm hoping to see something else sort of come about. But
yeah, I like diversity too. It seems like the odd number of years for Worlds are very like tunneled, or they're very like narrow for creativity. And then the even number of years, there's like tons of like teams and creativity, and I don't know. So odd and even. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, anyway, it's for the listener, if you have gone through all the episodes, I'm not going to bog you down. And I'll say thank you very much for being with me as I thoroughly go through this Gen Con analysis with my awesome guests. I always try to end on a high note, and I think George is that. So is there anything you want to shout out, George, as we wrap things up?
The only thing I want to say is, man, I had a great time at Gen Con. Volunteers, like, really, keep that function organized, especially this year. I think it was like a record-breaking year for attendance.
Yeah.
We played between 10 and 12 hours a day doing qualifiers and things like that. All in all, it was just a great experience. It was fantastic. I love going every year, talking to people, playing games. Like, just get to relax for a little bit,
Yeah.
Thanks, Ed. Thanks for having me on the show, too.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. I know I'm, super busy lately, but it's really cool to be here. I like this.
Yeah. George, the first guest on the Starting Over podcast, and we've gone and grown from there. So anyway, hit me up on Twitter at StartOverPod. It came from outer space, sorta, I think. Or you can email me at startingoverpodcast@gmail.com if you wish to opine. Keep it pithy, keep it interesting, but definitely keep it interesting. Last but not least, not last. You can hit subscribe button, but I'm not too popular on YouTube, so it's better for you to follow me on Twitter. Twitter is a lot better. You will know when the shows come out, and you will know my taglines, which is very interesting. You can follow the blog, startingoverpodcast.blogspot.com. I have my weekly musings, Monday, Wednesday, and weekend. Weekend really is more about my games that I've played. And there's a donate button. If you ever wish to donate to the show, there's a donate button. You can donate whatever amount that you feel you want to donate, and I will try to give you a shout out on the show unless you don't want me to. And not only that, all your proceeds go to HCO codes or giveaways for the show. Kurth is still on the line, people. My birthday video hasn't hit to 200 yet. No one's got it yet. So, all right. It's still on the line. It's still up. So, anyway, again, thanks for George Masu for coming on today's show. And remember, we all have to start over sometime.
I'm into comic books, figures on the wall. She's into looking good, Vicky C's got a law. And she loves my flaws, yeah, she's not ashamed. I'm a Peter Parker, she's my Mary Jane. She's my Mary Jane, she's my Mary Jane. She's my Mary Jane, she's my Mary Jane. She's my Mary Jane, she's my Mary Jane. I'm a Peter Parker, she's my Mary Jane. I'm a big nerd around her, but she's cool around me. Never knew how she found me. Electric, but she grounds me. And she loves my flaws, she accepts them all. When the darkness comes, I will get the call. I will swing down to save her.